Hi guys, Brian from the gas station. I'm showing you the other favorite toy I have. I showed you the Hasselblad yesterday. This is my my other favorite toy right now. It's the Graflex Super Graphic. Super Graphic. Yeah. So yeah, unable to leave tall buildings or anything like that, but it is super. Anyway, this is a large format 4x5 camera. It's called a press camera because the press used to use this type of camera. I think you know, it would these were sort of a a box standard type camera. The Super Graphic was the last in the line, is my understanding of the large format, you know, Graflexes and stuff like that. All these cameras have interchangeable lens boards and lenses. The lenses designed for the Super Graphic will not generally work. The lens will work, but you won't be able to focus via rangefinder on something, let's say, as the Crown Graphic. There's a cam, a little metal plate that goes in here and sets up and works with the rangefinder. There's a rangefinder on this camera. I'm going to show you a ton of stuff on this thing, so hang on, just bear with me one moment here. All right, so I got everything wonky here. All right, so this camera actually has a rangefinder, and the rangefinder is right here, and you adjust your focus via these buttons in front here. So you get that split image. See how everything just moves back and forth there? So that's how you focus. All right, and that's all. There's a small window with a split image here in that little viewfinder. So you actually set up your focus there and get everything sort of in line. And then you have this. This is what you use for framing, this viewfinder here. And depending upon the size negative you're using and whether or not it's 4x5 or whatever, and the focal length you're using, your view is going to be different. And they have these little interchangeable masks, so you can set up and get an approximate view within the viewfinder. And you can also adjust this depending upon the distance of your subject, and this will set it up for the parallax error, which is kind of cool. Parallax error is basically the difference between the lens and the film plane looking out at your subject and your view. So they're going to be slightly off. And this is what they call the parallax. So this sort of like difference in angle of view is parallax. And parallax error is something that you kind of got to deal with. So this kind of compensates for that, and it shows your angle of view is slightly different. So this is supposed to be like a handheld point and shoot for the press. And what the press would do is they would set up, you know, their shutter and aperture settings. And this is actually, believe it or not, a battery operated camera. You put a battery in here. I got to find the little cover for this. I had it somewhere. But anyway, there's a battery that goes in here, and there's an electric solenoid in the bottom here underneath the lens board. So I'm sorry about the sirens. That's living in the city. But so there's a little solenoid here, and this, believe it or not, is your shutter button right there. That little red switch. That's your shutter button. So that's where you take your picture. So you would actually set up for like a hyperfocal distance range. You would set yourself up so you're focusing at a certain distance. Let's say, you know, 6 to 10 feet or maybe 15 feet at a certain f-stop, and you would adjust your f-stop here, and so you would calculate your depth of field. So you would kind of use this as a point and shoot. You would just kind of hold it up, you know, they're kind of close, boom, and you would take your picture. I don't have the batteries for this. I am going to see if I can get some batteries for it, but I'm not really using it as sort of like a fast-moving press cam. I'm setting it up for portraits. I'm putting it on a tripod, and I'm focusing on the ground glass, and I'm doing all that stuff. And I have just a little cable release, and it's got a little plunger, and you just take your picture. But there's a lot of process with these cameras. What I have on here, and actually I'll just go through the camera a little bit more completely. Basically, it's a bellows camera, right? So I'll just close it up for you so you can get an idea how it all goes together. Okay, so there's the camera all closed up, and it's basically ready to go, and we're just going to go, and that's that. So when you get to wherever you're going or whatever you're going to do, you're going to open up the camera right there, and then you're going to slide your the lens board out to its preset position, and there are tiny little pegs here which are infinity stops. So this camera is calibrated to focus at infinity at a certain extension of the bellows. And you can alter that stuff, and you can mess around with all that stuff. Everything about this camera is adjustable pretty much and customizable, which is really very cool. All right, so you pull that out, and if you're doing, like, let's say something on the ground glass, here you would pop this open. If I can get it, there we go. So you would pop that open, and I have this actually masked off for a smaller frame size, so I can actually set up for the composition of my shot. So I'm going to open this up. I don't know if you'll be able to see anything out of it or not. Actually, I don't know if that's a reflection, or I don't know. I can't tell what I'm looking at. So anyway, I think you're just looking at my shirt. But anyway, so you're looking at the tripod now. But yeah, it's definitely a reflection. So anyway, you would focus on your ground glass here, and this actually pops off here. So if you wanted to take like a loop and focus directly on the ground glass, you would need to put on that black hood and all that stuff because it's fairly dim. That's why they have this big shade, is so you can, block out some light. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but it's definitely doable. So you can pull your sweater over your head or whatever and start focusing there. So you would focus on your ground glass, and then you would take, where is it? Your film holder, this is your film holder here, and you would preload this with film, with sheet film, 4x5 sheet film. Let's see here. Okay, so you would, when you're loading your film cartridge here, so you would pull the dark slide out, and you would slide your film into here, fold that up, put your dark slide in, cover up your film, and this is a light tight box, and you're pretty much ready to go at that point. So I've gone through, I focused by putting the shutter setting onto T. T will leave my shutter open and allow me to focus on the ground glass. So once I'm ready to go, I have to close the shutter again. Am I closed? Yes. So you close your shutter. You close your shutter again because you know you're in focus, and you have this on a tripod, and it's steady and all that stuff. And I'll take my film holder and I'll slide that right into the back of the camera. Right now, I need to remove my dark slide here. You pull that out, and then you would set your aperture and shutter speed depending upon what it is, and take your picture. Put your dark slide back. You can actually flip the dark slide over and put that back in. The dark slides are color-coded, black and white on one side, depending upon whether it's exposed or unexposed. So you'd flip that over so you know whether it's exposed or unexposed, and then you would take your film holder out, flip it over, because you have 2 shots per film holder, at least on this you do, and then put it back into the camera, pull the dark slide out, take your picture once again, boom, and then you got 2 shots. And you can just replace your film back as many times as you want. So you can see the process is slow and deliberate, and if you screw up one step, you screw up a shot, and you don't want to do that. So you take your time, and you spend the time doing what you need to do. A very cool thing about this camera is all the movements on it. This, as a press camera or a large format, they give you a lot of movements, and some of the movements, it's basically like a tilt shift camera. So I can adjust the lens board that way. Oh, my camera's running out of battery already. So this may be a shorter video than I was hoping, but you can also adjust the height here, so you have control over drop. So I can drop that, and then if I wanted to, and this is all like for perspective control stuff and selective focus and all that stuff. So you can just wrangle, and so I can go here, and now if I want to, whatever you want to change, you can change, and that's the beautiful part about these things is there's so many movements in this camera. You can alter perspective and and use it as a tilt shift, and you can there's so many different things you can do, and that's one of the wonderful things about these cameras. And then everything just folds back, and it really is pretty rock solid camera. I mean, it's not like a big field camera, but which is much more robust in construction, but they're pretty sturdy. You can bring these out, and they're pretty durable. So I actually happen to use this camera mostly. At this point, I actually haven't even shot any 4x5 in it, but I use it for Polaroid. Actually, Fujiroid, as some people call it, which is the Fuji pack film. I have a Polaroid back here, so I can get my my Polaroid film in here, and then I put this on the back of the camera, and then this just locks in the top and the bottom. And I use the pack film pretty much the same way I would use 4x5, except I get an instant picture out of it. It still it still has a dark slide. You still have to remember all that stuff. And if I want to use this as a rangefinder, I can, or I can get my back on there if I'm doing real critical focus or tilt shift or whatever. I'll focus on the ground glass, and then I'll swap the back out. Really just very fun stuff. Again, the Super Graphic was later in the line. The lenses and the cams, again, I don't know if I mentioned this before, are not compatible with the Crown Graphic. So if you buy a lens, they say it's for a Super Graphic and it doesn't have the cam, it's not going to work. So if you're buying lenses for the camera, you're buying specifically for the Super Graphic. That's one of the negative things. So, but other than that, what a great fun camera. And I want to mention I'm very grateful to have this. I have a small martial arts school, club, whatever, and one of my students brought this to me on long-term permanent loan, as we call it, and so I'm very grateful to have it. And this is the first this camera has gotten use in many years. So what a blast! This was this guy's father's camera, so. But it's getting a lot of use now. So, and I'm going through a ton of film. And if you think about it, cost-wise, the Fujiroid stuff, between $10 and $12 a pack of 10, it's about $1 a shot. So, or a little over that. So, it's actually fairly cost-effective to shoot this, get great pictures. And if you think about the negative size of these things, they're huge. So you get all kinds of resolution and detail and all that stuff. With the Fujiroid, it's not a negative; it's the actual print, but you can actually reclaim your negatives, and that's a whole nother episode altogether. But wow, just getting back to the roots and your basics and just doing the work. You will need a light meter with one of these. I have the G.A.S and Luna Pro F is my current meter of choice. I would actually like to get a smaller digital meter because this thing is kind of big and heavy and kind of hard to lug around, to be honest. Yeah, it's definitely a good meter, and you're going to get accurate readings on these. And these can be had between like $60 and $80, pretty much most places you'll find. So there we go. This is the Graflex Super Graphic. I didn't go into too much detail here. If you guys want more detail or information, please let me know. But I just wanted to give you a quick overview. These cameras are not, to get into large format, it's relatively cheap. And you're looking probably starting in the neighborhood about $350, I guess, and for sort of like just real basic stuff. Lenses and all that stuff. Glass is always going to be more money. I have a Schneider Kreuznach, whatever it is, knock glass. The Symar, Symmar, and this is a 5.6 f5.6 180 lens. So I think this is working out to be sort of a 60 millimeter, I think is the conversion. If I'm wrong, let me know. I think I may be way off, but it's you know, it's a good sort of like portrait lens, and yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. So these lenses may seem slow at 5.6, but it's really not, because you're looking at such a large negative. I mean, they are slow lenses, but as far as depth of field is concerned, you're going to get amazing depth of field because of the size of your negative, and you're going to be really pleased. And the tilt shift stuff, you can get as much depth of field or as little depth of field as you want, but you know, they are slower lenses, so your exposures are going to be longer. And this, you know, the exposures on this start from 1 second and go up to 1/25th of a second. So 1/25th of a second, you're not getting a lot, but the f-stop range on this is 5.6 to f/45. So you're talking slow, but you're definitely going to get great depth of field with this. Very cool camera, so much fun, great quality. Anyway, that's about it. Brian, the gas station, old cam review. If you have any questions, please let me know. Or if I made a mistake, definitely let me know. But you know, this is kind of fun stuff. So anyway, that's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will be back with you guys soon. Thank you.